Hey, what's up guys? If you are a property manager, I'm going to walk through the workflow that you can use in QuickBooks Online, specifically from the perspective as a bookkeeper, because we know that property managers have a lot more going on and they're not so concerned about diving into their books, and they may want to allocate that out. So let's just dive right in and just show you the setup that you need to do in QuickBooks to make this an easy workflow that you as a bookkeeper can send your property manager reports to show them what they owe to their owners and give them a clean report on their profit and loss to show what they are actually making as a property manager. So let's go right into the chart of accounts. And the first thing you want to set up is a due to owners. So this is going to be a liability account. However you want to name this. I like to just put due to owners. This is basically all the income that you are getting as a property manager from the rental properties. So I'm looking at this as a perspective of a short-term rental that you're getting from Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com. Everything that you receive as the manager really is owed to your owners. So we're not going to count it as income. We're going to make it as a liability that's due to your owner. And I'll show you what that looks like in the reports. The second thing we want is an income account, like a property management income. And the third thing is the billable expenses income. Now this will come in automatically in QuickBooks, and how you make sure that you get this, you come up to the settings. In the company settings, and we'll go into this expenses tab, and you'll see the bills and expenses. Make sure that this items table is turned on. We want the track expenses and items by customer on, and this third one, make expenses and items billable. We want to make sure this is turned on, and we want to track the billable expenses. So once you get that set up, you want to save that. The next thing you want to do is go into your products and services. And this is where you're going to set up your management fee. So I labeled this property management fee. So when you create this, that will be your label. And the income account is going to be that property management income that we set up in our chart of accounts. So you want it to map to this income account. Save that. And I'll show you what that looks like when we create the invoices for our customers. So from here, in this same page, you'll see at the top here, you'll click on customers, and this is where we're going to set up our owners that have the properties. So in this example, I have Maplewood Properties. This is the main customer, whoever owns that LLC, and we're setting up the sub-customer. The properties that they own will be the sub-customers. So they own 101 Main Street and 342 Pine Street. And I did the same thing, Oak Ridge Rentals, and a sub-customer, 225 Oak Avenue. So when you set these up, when you do the new customer, you'll put in your parent account and save that. And then when you put in the properties, you'll come down here and you want to make it a sub-customer, and then you'll find the LLC or whatever you want to call it if it's just their name, but that's how you'll set it up as a sub-customer. And the last thing, if we want a little bit cleaner reports, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like, but come into your all list here and go into your classes, and you can set up the class for each property. So we have 101 Main Street, 225 Oak Avenue, 342 Pine Street, and then we'll make a general class as well. So when that is all set up, we're going to go into the bank feed here. And I just want to show you real quick, actually. We'll come into our reports. And I've done some of the work already just so this video isn't too long. I'm going to go into the balance sheet. And I'll just do this by class right now, just to show you. So I've already done a few transactions for 225 Oak and 342 Pine. We don't see anything for 101 Main Street yet because we haven't done any kind of expense for it. So I just want to show you that there's the blank slate for 101. And we'll just do some transactions. So our first one, we received money from maybe like Airbnb. So as the manager, we're holding these funds for our customer. So for our category, that's going to go to our due to owners liability account. Then from here we have our customer, and we want to put it into the actual property. So this is 101 Main Street. That's the sub-customer of Maplewood Properties. We use the class 101, and we'll save that. And I'll do one more for an expense. So as the manager, you're probably paying for expenses as you go through the month. So we'll just click into Walmart here. It's just going to be stocking supplies. Let me just see. So we want to make sure that it's cost of goods sold. If it's directly tied to the property, we want to set this as a cost of goods sold. So we'll do supplies and materials as a cost of goods sold. From Walmart, the class is 101. And now we have our customer, the 101 Main Street, and we're going to select billable. Make sure you hit the billable every single time, because I'll show you what that does when you create the invoice. So let's go back into our reports so you can see how this is forming as you move along through the month. So we'll go into the balance sheet, and I'll do it by class here. So now we see 101 Main Street. We have the due to owners, $790.46, and then our net income is the expense we made, the $264. And you're going to see that this will be in the cost of goods sold. And this will also show us that there is no income. It all goes to due to owners for now. We have the supplies and materials, that's what we spent. So we're at a negative $264 income. Okay, so let's just finish out 101 Main Street for the month. So again, we have our cleaners that we had to pay. It's our cleaning fees. Again, cost of goods sold. 101 Main Street class. We want the 101 sub customer, and that's going to be billable. Christie, we know we received money. This goes to due to owners. Same class, 101. Our customer is our property. We had to do a Home Depot run, so we'll say maybe this is repairs and maintenance. Cost of goods sold. Want the class 101. Customer 101. We're going to make that billable. We're going to send it to our customer at the end of the month as a bill. We'll do another income here. Again, this is due to owners. And this is really all you're going to be doing the whole month. Very simple. Everything will get allocated where it needs to be. You just need to coordinate with your property manager as the bookkeeper to make sure you're putting it into the right categories, into the right properties. This 101 class. Comcast, you can still put in the vendor. Make sure you have your vendors in there. 101 Main Street. And you can make it any level of detail that you want. So however you want your profit and loss to look, just set your chart of accounts up properly so that it shows the level of detail that your customer wants to see. So we have booking fees from booking.com. Mark it as billable. Miranda. It's another due to owners. Okay. And then we got two more here. Let's just add this Netflix. So this is what you can do actually as well. Like if they want to see this level of detail, memberships and subscriptions is the chart of account, but you can make Netflix as like the sub account so that it shows up on your P&L. Uh, 101. That's billable. Okay. So let's go back into our report to see how this is looking. Go into the balance sheet. And I'll do it by class. So now we have due to owners has gone up. You'll see that our expenses has gone up as well. So from here, we're getting to the end of the month, and we have all three properties that have generated some income, and we also have the expenses. I'm going to show you what this looks like by customer. So you can see how this gets a little bit crazy because there's so much on this report. So you can imagine if you have 10, 15 rentals that you're trying to manage, this report gets a little overwhelming. If you have the right tool, Hector Garcia created this right tool that you can download, and it gives you these kind of options to, I guess, eliminate some of the clutter on your reports. But this really gives you the same detail as the classes. So you have the 101 Main Street, you have the due to owners, you still have your net income, you have 342 Pine, and then the total for Maplewood Properties. And then we have 225 Oak, and then the total for Oak Ridge Rentals. They only have the one property, so you only just see the one property. And so now we're at the point where we're going to create the invoice at the end of the month. So let's go to new invoice. And we'll start with 101 since that's the one that we've been working on. So the customer, we want it to be that property specifically. So as you notice, when I clicked on that, on the right here, it brings up all of our billable expenses. So that's why we want to track it, so that at the end of the month, everything is already organized for us for this specific property. So the email you could do to the customer themselves. If you are the property manager and you're doing the books, you can put their email in. As a bookkeeper, as I was thinking about how you want to show reports to your property manager as you're doing the books, you could put your property manager's email in here, and you could send this invoice to them so that they can get the breakdown of what exactly the expenses were that were incurred for the month, so that they can show that report to their customer. So I'll kind of show you what I mean. So this would be 6/30/21 because I'm doing the reports in 2021 for June. So our product in service, we're going to do the property management fee. And we'll say that the fee is 18%. Okay. And actually, let me get out of here for a second because I did not look at the due to owners total. So 101, we had the 466903. So I'm going to copy this. And this can be like part of your workflow. Then we'll make an invoice. Okay, our customer is 101 Main Street. And we'll do 6/30/21. Okay. Property management fee. This is what we're charging as the property manager. We're charging our customer our fee, and we charge 18% for this total amount due to the owner. So we're receiving $840.43. Let's put in the class. Now the billable expenses, let's add all of these to here. So now it generates everything in there for you. It puts in the class for you. That's super nice. Now we see the subtotal. This is the total amount due to the owner. Now, when I talk about the receipts, if you put the email in as a bookkeeper and you send it to your property manager, they can easily just use this. Let me just download it. When you email it to them, they can get this receipt and they can easily look at, okay, the $46.6903 was the total gross that they received for income, right? Because we're taking 18% of that, so they'll know that this number here is the total received as income, and they know that this is the total amount that they're going to subtract as expenses to their customer. So they could easily just come in to this invoice and say $46.6903 minus the $2,097.95, and that'll give them the total of what they owe to this customer for this property. So it'd be $2571.08. So now they're going to send that payment to their customer. So we're not going to send this, but we'll save it and close this. And we'll look at what it looks like here on the balance sheet. So we have 101 main. So now you can see the due to owners is still there because we haven't paid them yet. We now have an accounts receivable at $2,097.95. And now we can see that the income is $840.43. So let's just go into the profit and loss statement here. So now you have the level of the expenses. You still have the breakdown, right? But we put it at cost of goods sold because this is really the number that we want to see. $840.43 is what we made as the manager. We were just paying for the expenses on the customer's behalf. So that is going to match the billable expenses income here. This is what matches our cost of goods sold, $1257.52. We have our property management income, and that's going to match our gross profit. And I will show you the total for all the properties, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like when you have other expenses, like for say you're paying for a bookkeeper. Those expenses are going to be down here to actually show the operating costs to be a manager. So now we know what we need to pay our customer. So let's say we pay them, and we're going to go into the bank feed here. And we have this $2,571.08. That's what we paid. And all we're going to do is We want to go ahead and split this. Yes. Okay. So we're going to do due to owners. And we have, let me just pull up this invoice again. Okay, so we had the 466903. We want to clear that out, so we want due to owners 466903. This is for the 101. And put the class. Since we paid them, we want to get rid of, we want to decrease accounts receivable. The accounts receivable is going to be a negative. So this is the amount of the expenses, $2,097.95. The 101 Main Street. And this should match, right? You want to make sure this is negative, because we are taking our total gross minus the expenses that was on the accounts receivable. And this should have the difference of 0. This is what we paid them. We want it to match here. Make sure your properties and classes are in there. And we will post that from the bank feed. Now let's go back into our reports. Into the balance sheet. And let's look at it by customer. So now we have 101 Main Street, accounts receivable is 0, due to owners is 0, and we have our net income. So when we get to the end of the month, this is exactly what it should look like. You want to have the accounts receivable and your due to owners at 0. Okay. Now if we look at, let's go to the total for the net income, just to see what this looks like for the whole picture of it. We haven't been paid from the other two properties yet. We haven't created an invoice and we haven't paid out our customer. But I just want to show you that when this evens out with the cost of goods sold, when you have your invoices matching your cost of goods sold, you're going to have your gross profit, but then as your general expenses, they're going to sit down here. So maybe you're paying for fuel. Like I said, like a bookkeeper, you're paying those fees every month. These are the operating expenses that you want to show as well, to have a nice clean report as the property manager, so that you actually get that true net income of what you're making for the year. So let's complete this. Let's go back into our reports. And let's create these invoices for these other rentals. So we have 342 Pine Street. We have the due to owners is 6623. So I'm going to copy this. And let's make another invoice for 342 Pine. So you'll get to see how this is working for each individual property. You have the 342. You'll see our billable expenses come up. Okay. We have our property management fee. 18%. We'll paste that due to owners number, and that's our total for our fees. Let's get our class in there. Okay, and then let's add all of our billable expenses. And let's go ahead and download this as well, so that we have it. And this is just going to be our workflow at the end of the month. We're going to send this to our property manager as a bookkeeper. We're going to save and close. Okay, and then now you can see we have our accounts receivable and our due to owners. And another report that I think would be nice to have. So if we click into the accounts receivable here, and actually we would want to see the total. So let's do the total here, and we have our accounts receivable. You might have seen this report as I've been kind of going back and forth, but I just want to show you what I mean by creating a separate report with accounts receivable, because as a bookkeeper, if you are sending this to your property manager, you may want to have this just sitting in your custom reports so you can pull it up very easily. So these are our total invoices, right? But if we separate this out by customer, we can then save this report. So we already know that 101 Main Street has been paid, right? We've already created the invoice and we've paid the customer, so this is at 0. We already know 101 is good. 342, we just created this invoice, so we still have 1476.12 that we need to account for. So you could just come in here, save it, and you can name it accounts receivable report, and you would just save that. And then when you come back into your custom reports, you'll have it sitting right here, and it'll pop up just like it was. Alright, so let's go ahead and pay 342. I don't have it in the bank feed, so I'm just going to create a check here just to demonstrate what it does coming out of the bank feed. It's the same exact setup. So you want to choose that bank account. Maybe this was paid on the 7th the next month. Okay, we're gonna have our due to owners. Okay, 342. So the invoice is nice because it shows you the property at the top, so you know exactly who the invoice is for. The due to owners, we want to clear out. So it's the 6623. Okay, this is the 342. Put the class in there. And now we want to get rid of the accounts receivable, which was the 1476.12. Put minus. Okay. And now we are paying our customer $51.46.88. And you can even do this ahead of time if you want. And when it comes through the bank feed, you can just match it. But we'll save and close. Okay, and now we're still in our accounts receivable report here, but you can see that has now been zeroed out. Let's go into our balance sheet, and you can even, if this helps as a reporting, by customer, you can even save this. You can say balance sheet by customer. Okay, so they're both zeroed out, right? 225 still needs an invoice, and we still have the due to owners. Alright, so we would do the same exact thing for 225. And now you see accounts receivable is at 0 on the total balance sheet. Due to owners, we still have a balance for Oak Ridge Rentals. And when we come into the net income, we'll see it start to take shape of what it's going to look like. So we have our cost of goods sold. That's now going up. We're still at a negative because we haven't been paid for our last property. And we have our total net income minus the operating expenses. So let's just go ahead and do that last one because I want to show you what it should look like to have that clean report. By customer, we have the 225 due to owners. We're going to copy that. Create the invoice. $225 Oak Avenue. This is the end of the month, 6/30. management fee, 18%. And then let's add all of our billable expenses. Okay, I'm going to download this one as well. And we'll save and close. And you know what these shape up to be already. There's your accounts receivable. Okay. And let's pay these guys out. This would be the last step as the property manager. Then us as the bookkeeper, when they pay them, we're gonna reduce the liability and the accounts receivable. So we have the 921172. Um, 225 Oak Avenue. We have the accounts receivable. 381509. And make sure this is the negative. And if you really wanted to save these, because you know that you're going to be sending out a check to your customer every month. Maybe you're doing this ahead of time. As the bookkeeper, you can make this recurring, and you can save 225 Oak Ridge Rentals, or I guess it'd be 225 Oak Avenue. Have it as unscheduled, and it will save this. So this will, you won't have to put this in every single time. You won't have to put the category in. You just have to change the amount, and it'll be a good reminder to say, oh yeah, accounts receivable needs to be negative. So that gives us the total. You can save that template, and then when you come up to the top here, you'll come to recurring transactions, and you can use this. Okay, and then you just change the numbers. So we're gonna use this. We'll save and close. All right, you'll see that this stays in there for future reference. Let's go into our reports again, and balance sheet by customer, and there you have it. So accounts receivable is 0, due to owners is 0, and if you have this right tool, you can kind of get rid of some of these, but if you want to look at it by class, this gives you a little better reporting. It kind of gives you the same exact reports as far as the customers. It's just a little bit cleaner. It lets you kind of see the due to owners a lot faster. Unfortunately, it doesn't, for the accounts receivable, it doesn't separate by class. It kind of goes into the non-specified, so it's not too useful. But let's look at the net income. So let's go to our profit and loss. So you can see the total as the property manager. This is the report that you want to see so that you know what you are actually making throughout the month, throughout the year. So this is the importance of why I would say whatever the billable expenses are, put it to cost of goods sold. 3698.48, those match. This is our total gross, and then we have our normal operating expenses, and this is what we've made. So that's how I feel is the good workflow as a bookkeeper and for a property manager. You can have your custom reports in here by customer. You can use the classes as a good way to make it simpler. It doesn't give you exactly what you need, but if you are going to use class, then it gives you a good clean report. And you can always set these up the way you want it. As a bookkeeper, I think that the accounts receivable report helps for you to understand what you need to send to your property manager. But you can also just come in here and just look at, okay, looks like everything has been paid out this month. So I hope this was helpful, and if you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I will make future videos as far as using the project portal, but I just wanted to go ahead and make this video just to show how you can help a property manager as a bookkeeper. But also, if you are a property manager, this would be a good workflow for you as well. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.